call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon. This is the American Rescue Plan Steering Committee for Infrastructure and Facilities. It's Monday, May 12th, a little past 1 o'clock. We're going to move right into, we're going to approve the minutes of April 13th and April 22nd. You guys got copied them, I think, last Friday, so you want to go ahead and...
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Your minutes are approved, Madam Auditor. Okay, now we're going to get into the scoring of all the projects that we've heard over our last two meetings. And the agenda that you have in front of you is all of the items that we will be scoring. What we're going to do is when we pull up the certain item that's on the agenda, we'll be passing out scoring sheets for each.
They're all in all of your packages.
So, yeah, so in your package here, you'll see all these. So when we get done going through these, we'll talk about them, we'll pull them out there, then we're going to score them, and then we're going to hand all these scores down to the right to the auditor, and then she's going to start scoring them. And basically what she'll do is add up all the numbers and then come up with an average. And then that average will be what gets put forward to the Central Committee. Okay? So, again, when we talk about whatever's on the agenda, then we're going to take that form for those packets and we're going to score those and send them to the right. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so the first one up is the failed. This is under failed Porter County stormwater systems. This is a total of $330,000, and under those is the new South Haven, which is $180,000. Salt Creek Commons, which is Sable Drive, which is $750,000. Carriage Hills, which is $1,250,000. And Stimson Drain, which is $1,250,000. These are all, we're gonna score all these because these are all failed systems. So we're gonna score them together, okay? So those are the four that we're gonna be scoring. So we can go ahead and start scoring and send them off.
Okay.
Is it all, is it all under the failed stormwater system?
Yes, we're scoring those four projects together.
Okay.
So what you're doing is, 1 through... You just need the top copy, Vicki? Or do we need both?
What's the second?
The second's just more of a checklist.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
more for your
Yeah, it's a
evaluation.
worksheet, more or less, yep.
So we can take this one off and give you that.
Now, let's say you're giving you that has your actual score on it.
This one has a score.
You just need a top sheet, right, Jeff?
Yep, yep.
Sorry to reach across you.
No, you're fine.
Oh, it does? I'm,
Here, Mike.
how are you scoring them? I put all the things here. So this is all the total? I scored more. Whatever.
Okay.
Okay. Did everyone send theirs down? Others,
There should be 5.
I only have 3.
5.
So-
There we go.
Just hold on to it.
Just some
I
stragglers.
had a copy.
You're the,
Coming.
the.
Right, now I know how the system works. I was turning in the wrong sheet.
First one. Okay. Next up is the Porter County Flood Reduction Systems. And this is $720,000 compiling of flood reduction.
Jeff, one note on that number on the agenda, or
Yep.
price, on the ask on the agenda, should be a total of 1.34 million. Salt Creek Commons, 410,000. Willow Creek Road, 700 North, 930,000 for that 1.34. Not that that affects your scoring, but just wanted to correct that.
No, that's good. We need to know that. And what was the total again?
1.34 million.
And then, Mike, does that get us to all of these as they were originally presented to that $6 million mark?
Correct.
Yep. So what was presented, this matches up with that. So again, Porter County Flood Reduction Systems is $1,340,000 total, with Salt Creek Commons being $410,000 and Willow Creek Road and 700 North, $930,000. Okay?
So it should be 60.
What is the score on this?
That isn't mine.
No, just the first one.
Vicky. The second one.
Okay, next up is the Shorewood Forest Stormwater Project, and that's a $685,000 number for Shorewood Forest Stormwater Project.
There you go, Vic. Vic.
What we're going to be doing here is when we're done with all these numbers, and we'll be posting them on the website, so they'll be out there so everybody can go to them and look at them, and they'll be up for a while. So next up is Porter County Agricultural Society Electrical Enhancements, First, electrical upgrade, 607,513, and generator, 170,000.
Jeff, the electrical upgrades, you had three different parts of the electric, and then one also was included was the fence. So should that be a separate item, or should that be part of the electrical upgrade portion of it?
I think it's part of the electrical upgrades.
Okay.
That's all part of that.
Okay.
Yep. Let me get my scoring here.
Double check.
They were voted as one.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Okay, next up is Porter County Coroner Morgue and Transit. I'd like to ask Vicki about this particular item being, does it qualify?
I did have some questions about this one.
Okay.
And I wanted to take more time to look more at the proposal. I was going to see how the ranking went. There's a provision in the public health that allows for emergency operation facilities. Would this fall into that category? I'm not sure. But I did have some questions, if that would be considered, an enumerated use. Now, again, if there is a project that you want to pursue and it's not clearly an enumerated use, we can still allow for it by one of two ways. We can follow the final rules framework and designate our own enumerated use, as long as we give a good justification, a good argument as to why this project is needed and we think it's an appropriate use of our funds. Or the simpler approach is to put it in the revenue replacement category, which is the flexible use category. And you can use those monies for any government purpose that you would like.
Yeah, but I don't know if we want to be steering money to county items. So to me, if the county does end up with their revenue replacement money, then I think it sort of opens up everything all again to take a look at all these things, and we've been through that. So just want to make that clear, if you guys understand.
A question I had
Yeah.
on it was, you had mentioned something about the jail bond being up shortly, and that possibly this could be
Yep,
something that would be considered with that. That's
Yep.
why
yep.
I'm having a little difficulty on how to score this.
Well, we really don't, for everyone here, we don't have any land for this. So to go build, as she presented, to build something just on a piece of ground out there, we don't have anything, we don't have any land, we don't you know, you're also going to have additional costs. There's going to be additional costs for a new building.
Yep.
And I think one of the instructions of this group was not to go out and incur any additional operating costs, which obviously doing a new building and doing some things that's going to cause all that. So I think it's pretty premature, in my opinion. And I don't know if we even want to move the project forward unless the board wants to go ahead and score it. We can score it, but I just don't see where any of this can be done.
And I agree with you there. I think right away from what our general priority considerations were, and that's why I kind of mentioned it after the presentation. I mean, the main thing says the use of these funds should reduce, not increase the need for ongoing local expenditures. And that's why I just didn't feel like it was a good place for us. That's more of a, you know, the county government elected officials realm of not us to push something like this forward that's going to add a burden to the county going forward. And again, to be clear, I think it makes sense what she's saying, and there's a need for it, but not from this board.
Yeah. So I guess that's our question, folks, whether we want to score this anyway, or do we want to, you know, remove it and move forward? That's,
Motion, Jeff, to pull it?
yeah, this, whatever,
I'll make a motion to pull it at this point.
okay?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to remove the Porter County Coroner Morgan transit vans from the agenda and from the committee. Mark, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
The construction alone, so I guess we couldn't separate those, Jeff, right? We couldn't separate the vans from the
Well, the vans are, it's sort of all, that, to me, that's what they put in for.
Okay,
I'm not going to
gotcha.
start pulling stuff out
Okay,
and.
just wanna make sure.
Yeah, it's, and again, I would also mention that if you do need vans that bad, come forward, meet with us. I think they are taking orders now on leased vehicles now. It's still further out there, but if we need to get orders in, get them in, get it to us and get us in. So, so next up, Isaac Walton League. That was that project that was discussed. That's a $700,000 ask. And we got the scoring mechanism. So same thing here. Do we want to score or do we want to move forward, pull? We can score it. So let's go ahead and score it.
Okay.
Vicki, are there other projects within here that you have similar questions about or are not absolutely certain about, or you'll let us know when you do?
Yes.
Now, I think this was, can I add one thing to this? Well, we'll talk about it afterwards.
Yeah. Madam Auditor, you have the other 5 for this one right there.
Great, thank you.
We can keep moving here. Recycling, next up is Recycling and Waste Reduction District for $1 million. And again, there's another one where we don't have land, we really don't have much of a plan.
Right.
Again, operational costs, there's all kinds of things here that I think are troublesome for me. But as a group, if we want to score it, we'll score it. If not, we'll pull it. But that's going to take a motion in a second and a vote.
Jeff, are they self-sustained in their operational costs?
They have their own tax rate, they have their own, and I don't think their tax rate was hurt during COVID. So they're their own body, they're their own board, they have their own revenue source.
I guess my question would be, would their operational costs go up to the county? Would they impact the county's operational cost? Since that is one of the things we can't do.
Yeah, but it's an entity within the county, it would affect their operational costs.
Okay.
So, and this one here especially, we don't even know. I mean, they're talking about adding all these programs and doing all this other stuff, building a big building. You know, if they don't have, their rate is 20, whatever, if they don't have enough money then to do what they want to do, they would have to go and increase the recycling rate, which that board can do. They have their own ability to raise their rates, they have their own ability to do everything themselves.
My concerns were they did say that they were having trouble keeping help, and I was wondering how they were going to, get the employees for this. It is needed. I could see where, in the long run, if this is something that we would like to have, being on that board. But my question is also would it be done in time? Because I don't think they've started the study for it, let alone the architect.
No, we don't have a study, there's no roadmap. I mean, to sit there and I mean, you have no roadmap, you have no direction, and to just throw money at something without having a plan, it just seems to me like it's a little too forward, so. But it's up to the board. So really, the question right now is, do we want to score it or do we not? And that's the question. If we want to score it, we'll score it.
I'll make a motion that we remove this one only because I don't feel like it falls. I don't think there's any way that we'd be able to meet those deadlines on the date and we risk the county losing these funds. So I'll make a motion that it gets removed.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to remove recycling and waste reduction systems. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So that one will be removed. Next up, Pleasant Township Trustee.
And what was the total on this one again?
$150,000. Okay, next up, Indiana Dunes Tourism, and this is close to $3 million. What do we want to do here? It's a big request.
Well, tourism was hit very hard in the COVID crisis. It is a large project. I can't remember if they were willing to take less or not. Of course, anything would be better than nothing. But
Well, again, I was sort of surprised that they didn't come at this from a revenue replacement standpoint. And because they're their own unit of government with their own tax, we don't get to see their financials and, unless we call and ask. So I think she told us she had over $1 million in funds, but they had to me, they had a revenue loss. What that revenue loss was, I don't know, because they didn't submit for a revenue loss. So, if they didn't submit for it, you can't really give it. So, I would be interested in knowing, what the revenue replacement would be, but that could be something that if we have funds left over, that could be something that you could take a look at. But to me, this is a new project. This is a project that they're putting up. They're not talking about revenue replacement. And to me, I think it's more about getting them whole on what they lost in bed tax dollars. And I know they lost money because I have a hotel in town and we lost money, so I know they lost money. So I don't know what that is. So
I think, and I think they're speaking of the whole tourism, for Porter County. I think it was pretty significant loss, but you're right, maybe it should have been in a different category or something like that. The need, yes, it's needed, but like you say, it's like a project.
Well, I think I'm going to speak for myself again because I'm in this industry. Again, we don't have they went to all this expense to build that building with the federal government. And we housed the National Park Service in there, and for however long, they were a park up until recently that really didn't get any money and couldn't really, they were having a hard enough time just keeping up with paying for their part of the building. And now they want to come in and they want to redo the whole inside. And like I said at the last meeting, we're building almost a $14 million dollar trail, the county is, in their park. And I've not seen anything. I asked him when he was here, are you going to come forward and sort of participate in fixing that building? And I really didn't hear a really good answer on that.
Another thing that bothers me is they're in the process of redoing contracts.
Yeah,
I was on that board for a while, and
good point.
it was, if I can remember correctly, the federal government, or the DNR, took most of the money. And like you said, the Porter County got very little.
Yep.
So, and those contracts are bothersome to me. And they assured us that it was going to include Porter County more. But you know how contracts go.
And one other thing, they also came to us before this submission. It's telling us that their roof and their air conditioning is going out up there. And they have this whole lease and this agreement with the National Park Service, and not once did they even go to them and ask them, they just come to the county saying, we got $500,000 we need for a roof and everything. And I'm like, well, this is the first time, I think that's the first time our facilities people have even gone up there. And because again, these departments that have their own revenue source and their own board and their own attorneys, they don't feel like they have to come to us. They don't really come to us unless they need something. And I'm in tourism, and I've been pushing for that. I think that should be a national park welcome center with the national park logo out there is what I think it should be. because then you're really going to have something there. But until we're going to dance around with these partnerships and we're going to build some trail for some Indian tribe that I'm hearing, these Indian tribes own casinos, and they got all kinds of money. And I'm like, sitting there going, well, did we ask them for money? I'm sorry, I'm getting a little colorful here, but I don't know. Shut my mouth here. I'm going to let, if we want to score it, we'll score it. It's up to this board, not up to me.
Based on how we pulled the other two, I'm not seeing those same criteria for pulling this one, is my only thought.
You're not seeing it?
No, I am not.
Okay.
Because they have the land already, they've already got the building.
Yep.
It's not going to impact it's not going to impact our county taxes, I'm assuming, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're going in and you're putting your own, you're redesigning a whole center here.
I'm not saying I'm going to rate it high.
No, I'm just saying, I just want to make sure everybody's.
I don't feel comfortable pulling this one.
I just want to make sure everybody understands what the ask is, because the ask really should be something different than what it is, but this is the ask. So if we're going to score it, let's score it. Let's do it.
At the original amount, or should we talk about a lesser amount?
If you want to score it with the lesser amount, let's talk about that now before we score it. Good point.
To me, it'd be difficult to ask a lesser amount without knowing what they're going to take down. I mean, it's 1.1 for the internal construction of the building, another $800,000. If I had more detail, and I don't feel comfortable rating it at a lower amount without knowing exactly what they were going to do to make it a lower amount.
Right.
Well, 1.1 is would cover the internal aspect. It's very troublesome. I don't know.
It just,
But
again,
I'm
we're,
concerned, because I was on that board at one time, I know the effects of contracts. And those are still outstanding, and that's what is worrisome to me. Although we do have this ARPA money available.
and there's also sitting on over $1 million. They're sitting on $1 million, and that's after COVID.
When he said they've only been growing in visitor access, I mean, it seems to me like they're already receiving more visitors. They should
Oh,
be receiving
the
more.
numbers have come back.
Yes, they should be receiving
So-
more income to help support this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, again, what was your harm and what was your revenue replacement? Because that's how you have to treat a board that's outside, that's what we're talking about here. So, so,
Well, on the question of lesser amount or not, the breakdown that we received from page 25 of their presentation, $600,000 for the Indigenous Culture Trail, 1.1 million for the arrival experience, so the entrance, the destination experience gallery, 800,000, the theater, 330,000, and then miscellaneous exterior improvements was 170,000. So that was the breakdown that we received.
Yeah.
so if you were to put a lesser amount in, pick 2 or 3 of those, add them up and put the lesser amount, because that's what we're scoring, what was submitted. So that's where, if we would do that, someone would need to make the motion as to what they think it should be, and then we either approve it or don't approve it. Either way.
Who actually owns the building?
The building is owned by the county commissioners, but it's subject to a GSA lease, which I'm hearing is going to change now.
Right.
And it's a government lease. It's about that thick. And, because I've read it, and it's pretty dry. But the reason that when that building was built, there was a lot of federal funds that went into that building. So, but again, it's the county's building, but we have a lease agreement with the National Park Service. And I did not even get into the GSA lease to even see how there's a section on improving the interior of this building. It's got to be addressed in this lease somewhere as to what their portion of it will be. But my concern was, I heard, well, we're going to open up some new retail opportunities within the building and we're going to sell more t-shirts. Well, guys, let me tell you something. that building's been up there for 18 years, and they ain't selling a lot of anything up out of there. It's a bathroom, is what it is. And we're building indigenous cultural trails and stuff. We're getting ready to embark on a huge 10-mile trail up there in the National Park Service. To me, let's get that done first, and then let's figure out what we got from there, and the marketing conceptual piece follows the actual trail and the work. So to me, again, I think we're sort of out of sequence here on what we're doing. It's just, we got a department that's coming in and grabbing money on a wish list that they want to do, and that's what this was for, the process. But it also got up to here to where this is where the rubber hits the road, right? And that's what we're trying to talk about. So, and I feel bad that I'm the outspoken one, but I feel like I've been dealing with this tourism bureau for 25 years. And this is where I hail out of Porter County. So I see how a lot of other convention and visitors bureaus work out there in the country. I see a lot of them. And this one's doing some different things. That's all I'm going to say. So, and with that, I'm going to zip it. Well, I think we're going to score it. Let's score it.
Well-
We've had too much conversation. I think now it's if it's a lesser amount.
I was just gonna say, they wanted 1.1 for the inside.
A portion, Sylvia, a portion of the inside, that would be the arrival experience, is 1.1 million. There's the experience gallery, destination experience gallery would be another 800,000. So in total, the interior improvements would be just under 2.3 million. It would be 2.23 million for the interior improvements. And then it looks like the trail and the exterior improvements, $770,000.
I think that the arrival experience is very important. I really do. It may be we're just putting lipstick on a pig type of thing. I hate to say that. But I think the 1.1, I wouldn't mind scoring it on at least the 1.1.
Make a motion.
I make that motion.
Okay.
I guess, can I, don't count what we have to do, is we have to approve the motion before I speak.
Yeah, we got to have a second
Okay.
first, and we don't have a second yet, so.
Second for discussion, we could do that.
Second, we got a second. No second.
When it dies.
Do we want to move, so if we want to score it, move forward on the whole thing?
Yeah, my opinion on it is we're a subcommittee. We can score it and let it move up and hope. I think the scores will probably speak for themselves on this.
Yeah,
See where it lands.
so let's
Yep.
score it based on the whole thing, and let's just get it done, move it up, go from there. Good discussion.
They received additional COVID funds or not? Okay.
Because they do give the venues money and some other things, and that's what I was trying to do. Just a thought, I don't know.
I'm not sure with it.
Doing a little
Johnny Carson?
Little
Yeah.
Johnny Carson,
Yeah.
yeah.
Who's Johnny Carson?
And there was, what do they call that, the great whatever, and he'd put the thing up, and he'd say it before.
Going back to Steve Allen days.
Yeah. Wait, we're dating ourselves, here, Curtis. We're dating ourselves.
The old ones.
I
Yeah.
don't think I saw it in episode.
You guys have nothing to worry about.
Yeah. That's so good.
Who was before Johnny Carson?
Yeah.
Well, let's see.
Did we get them all in?
I think so.
Okay, next up is the Porter County Conservation Trust. That was the Westchester Migratory Bird place there that we had the presentation. The one thing that I would like to maybe talk about on this one and ask Vicki, the auditor, is there, great presentation. One of the things that I was a little concerned about was buying equipment. They wanted a new Argos and some other things, and just to let I know I have a little bit of heartburn buying some of these people, like, equipment or whatever to go out and do it, but out of this, I'm gonna digress. I had a conversation with our stormwater department. 2.5 years ago, we bought a new Argus. The county has one, because we got ditches and things we have to get into, and we also have a lot of excavators and equipment in our highway department. And what I had talked to the department about is maybe there's a way that we could sort of, and the reason I want to explain this is if we pull some of the money out for equipment, what we're talking about is the stormwater department then coming in and partnering with the migratory bird. So when they need equipment, we could utilize the equipment that the county has, and then we save everybody money, and then we become a partner that if they need help out there to go dig something, maybe we send a truck and a backhoe out there and we help them dig it and get it done and move it in. And so, I mean, it's just a way, I talked with Mike about it, it's just a way to sort of partner with that and be part of it. They don't need it every day. They just need it when, they need it. And so it's just a thought, and if that's something that the board wants to think, I would, maybe put the ask from 100 to 75,000 and then go from there.
That's a wonderful.
It's just a thought. I'm just gonna throw that out there. To me, I was looking for a way to where the county, because part of stormwater management, one of the things that we have to do in stormwater management, it's part of our charter, is we have to have a public outreach portion of what we do. And this, to me, sort of figures like it falls in that area, part of the public outreach and fixing an old dump that was leaching into, there's an environmental benefit here too, so.
Yeah, it's hugely beneficial for everybody in the county, I think.
Here's the thing I'd like to say. This whole creation of this Westchester Migratory Bird Project came from the Park Department.
Yep.
The Park Department did no longer have a need for that they couldn't figure out what they were going to do with the land, so they just said, who would like to work with it? And Mr. Massey, is that he was so great.
Yeah, Richard, yep.
And coming forward.
Yep.
And he has worked hard.
Yep.
On literally nothing, because in the beginning I was involved in that a little bit. And so he's done an awful lot with a little bit.
No question.
So I think by giving them, that's a good concern you have, buying equipment. So I think we could mark it down to, say, 100,000 or, to change the project, or whatever the board would think.
I mean, the other side of it is if we want them to be self-sustainable and just to let them go out and do their thing, then you buy them the equipment and let them go. I mean, but I was just sort of, the commissioners, we deal with this all the time. Everybody wants a new truck, everybody wants a new backhoe, everybody sort of wants something new. And, we're always trying to figure out ways to where we can sort of work together, and, because this equipment, that you gotta insure it, and that's his part.
Right.
So he's gonna have costs in that, but I just wanted to throw that out there, if it's,
Well, I think it'd be wonderful and very well, they'd love to partner. That would be very acceptable.
just a thought.
Okay. No, I'm okay with that, and I'll, if nobody else has anything to say, I'll make a motion on that.
My only thought, well, I'll second for discussion, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we score $75,000.
Okay.
Okay,
And a second,
Yes, I'll second.
yeah.
discussion.
So I guess, again, going back to one of the items, if we take partial ownership of this or we're supporting them in some way, does impact county costs, and you're saying it most likely would not.
No. We already have the equipment. The Argus is brand new. You saw the one in the thing where they're out there. We got a brand new one, and it's pretty cool. But we also have a boat. When we go up and down Kankakee River, it's a little John boat for the bar. So the department has some equipment here, and then the highway department has all kinds of dump trucks, and, if they need to go out and build a trench that's 200 feet long, call us up, we'll schedule it, we'll work it into our system, they can go out there, dig that thing, and then we're up and we're out. And I just, maybe that will tie that bird sanctuary into the county a little bit more, to where now we've become somewhat of a partner, and we can work together to help them out going forward, because we're not going to get ARPA money all the time. So hopefully,
Yeah.
Careful what you wish for, right? So that's what I was thinking. Mike, I mean, this is going to fall on your department a little bit, so
course.
push back.
Well,
Feel free.
the only concern that I have at this point is that the sanctuary is wholly located within the town of Chesterton.
Oh,
So we have some operational,
yeah.
not that we couldn't, overcome those, working with Mr. McClure and our legal counsel, but we've had...
It's outside the district.
We've had a hard line
Ah.
in terms of money that comes from the district only being spent
Yep.
by the district.
We don't really want to.
But I mean, it would be a great partnership, because we love working with people, like that.
They get it done.
Right. So,
And what I would point out to that is this: don't forget that, and I'm not going to pretend that I know how many days it would take for the Argus at this particular location. However, let's say it was 3 days, or 2 days, or 2 days in the spring and 2 days in the fall. Whatever operational cost of that Argus for 2 days, in my example, is far less than owning and maintaining one.
and insurance, you're right.
And insuring, and being able to travel around. So even if we are hamstrung with having to figure out a way to not spend our department's resources outside of our district, this is still much, much cheaper of an option for this group. So even if it's almost like they're renting our Argus, we get to send it out at at our operational cost, which is not nearly what a new one costs. I'm assuming they could rent ours for, in my fictitious example of 4 days a year, for 50 years before we get close to the cost of a new Argus. Same with the backhoe, same with if we have employee time. Much more efficient across the board as far as that cost goes, and manageable by them. So it may not be that we're able to go do it for free on a partnership, but I think through like an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, I think our true operational cost would be pretty low in this type of scenario. So just because it's outside of our district, I do think there's some significant advantages.
And I would also like to point out, I do not know, and we didn't ask this question when they were in front of us, did they go to the town of Chesterton and ask for any funds? Because they have ARPA funds too. And this is in the town of Chesterton. It's sort of like the pool. It's a township thing, but it's in the town. And then here it's in this town of Chesterton, but it's, so I don't.
We're agreeing to limiting the dollar amount.
Right, that's
But
the
that doesn't
motion on the
necessarily-
floor.
But that does not necessarily mean they still won't take that dollar amount and go buy their own Argos.
They've already got an Argo.
But it's broke. It's on its last leg, and that's what he was asking for. And they might be able to use this thing for a couple of years until it does break, and then, but I just remembered we bought one of these, and we use it from time to time. It's got a trailer.
But to answer your question directly, no, this has not come up here, sell us Plan A, get something less than Plan A, and go do Plan D. Whatever they're approved for is what that money has to get spent on, because ultimately this county is the one that's going to have to face that federal audit.
Right.
So whether it's how it's done or what is bought, what they have done here is going to be what they're held to. So if you came in here and asked for, I'll make it up, $100,000 to buy a piece of land, and instead you went and bought a truck, that's not getting past us. That's not part of it. This isn't
Good thing.
a big giant dollar amount and go do whatever you want, because whatever they end up spending this money on has to go through the procurement process correctly and ultimately still meet the ARPA guidelines.
So I guess that's my question. When it goes to procurement, and they come in and say, hey, we still want to buy this Argos because you gave us $75,000, we say, no, the understanding was you would utilize the cities or the counties, and that's why we agreed to go ahead and
The
approve
money
it.
that was approved to you is for this.
Okay,
And the money that you're talking about wasn't approved for the vehicles.
okay.
Does that make sense, Madam Auditor?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're doing this right by you.
And I have to admit something, I have not seen the portion of the video at which this project was discussed, so is this,
It was at the end.
it was at the end, yeah, I did. Yeah. So, do I understand that this equipment is to help maintain the whole bird sanctuary? Or
Yes.
it's like
Well, it's to
ongoing?
maintain and do additions too, because they want to continue to build more gabion wall, they want to do more, they have some phases that they want to keep
Okay.
doing, and the cool thing about it is they want to self-perform. That's the good thing about this, so, you know,
This has kind of been a little red hen. I think they have asked for help from about everybody, and they have gotten a lot of help. They wouldn't have gotten this
they
one.
went out and got a lot of donations.
That's exactly
And
right.
Rich, Mr. Maxey
these-
is very
Yeah,
adamant.
sorry, Maxie, that's
Yeah.
right. But whatever they are asking for this $175,000, and they would be very grateful probably for whatever they get. And it would be specific. I think in the presentation, did they break down, was there an
Well,
absolute breakdown?
that's what I was trying to
I
recall.
never saw a breakdown.
It wasn't,
I
it
didn't
wasn't
see
a
a
breakdown.
I saw a total dollar amount. I never saw a
Yeah,
breakdown.
he alluded to it in his presentation.
Right.
Yes.
At the
I know
end.
That would include, their ask would include the gabion walls, extension of the
That's
gabion
exactly
walls.
what they said.
Backhoe, Argo, skid steer,
Yep.
mower.
And a lot of it was for equipment. That's my concern. It
So
wasn't-
they're probably gonna self-perform the installation of the gabion wall too,
That is
which
exactly-
probably,
More than likely. Right. Buy the baskets, buy the riprap.
Which, you
Put it
know,
in.
they're a nonprofit operating, I mean, if they
So
get
maybe-
75,000 to help with their gabion wall, maybe they're able to do the entire wall, where before,
They
maybe they didn't think it was,
probably
it was doable. But I would think as a nonprofit, they would be able to,
I think their
Figure
concern
out how to
was,
make
if I
that.
heard it right, they have a backhoe that is almost on its last breath.
Yeah.
yeah, understandable. And I
Right.
also understand Commissioner Good's concern with it as well.
Yes, that's absolutely
Buying
right.
people's equipment.
at the end of the day, if you don't think that it's, you know, I mean, we got
Right.
one of two ways. We got a motion and a second for 75 right
I
now.
just wanna-
Let's
Which
vote.
area under ARPA do we feel this falls under? Is it, because are we treating it as wastewater, or are we treating it as tourism, or are we treating it as, I just want to know what you enumerated aspect, or is it going to be part of the general fund, 10 million? Where do we think this would fall?
Maybe a lot.
I would think it would fall under the provision, under the investments in water and sewer and broadband
Okay.
infrastructure. There is a long list of available uses that deal with stormwater, wetlands restoration.
Okay, so
and,
wetlands restoration, probably.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
mitigation of flooding. And so I would think it would go there.
Okay.
You mentioned impacts to tourism. If this is more of a tourist type of venue, it could go there. But I think a better fit is under the infrastructure, because it's more, to
Well,
me,
if they're
it
not,
was
if
more
they're
of
not
the
taking
wetlands
admissions and if they're not qualifying people coming and going and counting, then I don't think, how can you say it's tourism? I just, to me, you need to have data. To me,
Yeah.
that's how I look at it. You don't know how many people are walking in and out of there, if they're local, if they're, I don't know if there's a lot of people coming in from North Carolina to go to a bird sanctuary inside Chesterton, Indiana. I'm guessing no, but I could be wrong, but that's why we take data and find out who's coming through there. That's
Yeah,
important.
sense,
You
yeah.
want to know who it serves, right? I would, but that's just me.
So we've changed this to 70, the motion on the table changed to 75.
Motion, so let's do this. So we have a motion and a second for 75,000. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Score it.
All right.
Sorry, I'm coming.
Take your time, man.
Nope, sorry. I'll fold it over so it's top secret.
Vicki.
Okay, next up, we have 3 projects. We're going to score them separately. One is, the first one is VLACD. This is the Valpo Area Lakes Conservancy District. This is outside of county government. And we have Black Hawk Beach. The first project is a Black Hawk Beach for $952,000. I know I was, again, falling in line with how we handle stormwater outside of our jurisdiction, which this, the stormwater department is, everything stormwater goes through that department, and everything stormwater is money that we can only do repairs inside of areas that are the district. This is ARPA money, this is separate, but again, you're still sort of bound by the stormwater department. I've had a discussion with Mike Novotny several weeks ago, you know, to be consistent with how we deal with projects that are outside the county scope. I would sort of make the argument here that in talking with Mike, I think this Black Hawk Beach and this whole area here, I think from a watershed perspective, I think the county is probably responsible for anywhere from 20 to 30% of the watershed that's in the Black Hawk Beach area. That means that's unincorporated Porter County water ending up in this area, okay? And so my recommendation, and I'll make the motion, is that we take 30% of this ask, and that's the dollar amount that we score. And was that right? Is it 20, 30,
Yeah,
25?
I did not do a precise delineation and
Right.
comparison, but I think that's right in the ballpark.
We could score to the high side, which would be maybe 30%. So, but that's my motion.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just for clarity, because the sheet says 952,000, but I noticed on their thing they turn in with the benefits cost table on that last page, it says 1.1 million. Do we know for sure it's
What was
not?
on the front page? There, right there. You got
That says
it.
952.
Yeah, I
That's
think
what-
it's 952, and that's what's on the agenda, and that's
Okay.
what's on, so that's what I'm going with.
Okay.
So what's 30% of that?
285,000 roughly,
285,000.
approximately.
So that's my motion to score, before we score this project, I make the motion for Black Hawk Beach to do 285,000.
Second.
Do we have a second?
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure the numbers were right.
Jeff, as well, am I correct in him saying that they had not been collecting any kind of fees on their own people they serviced already for stormwater support?
That's a specific point they made at the last meeting.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, I'm going to confirm that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to score VLACD Black Hawk Beach at $285,000. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carries. Okay, let's score this one for $285,000.
You know that their own taxing body did not receive any COVID funds.
Well, yeah,
Not our
conservatives,
funds, correct.
not our
Just wanna make
funds,
sure.
right.
Okay, thank you.
That one's,
Okay, just want to make sure. They did mention they had plans to raise it, right? They were going to go ahead and tax, I think, or do something. Hand it to you like you were some secondary person.
okay, they got them all? Yep. Okay, next up is VLACD Cardinal Lane for $340,000. Mike, this was a water project, right? This was a replacement of water lines?
Yeah, this is a water, yeah, exactly, a potable water project, water main project.
I'm gonna make a motion to pull back on this one, to hold back. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
To what amount?
But we wouldn't
Be the
put it,
same
we
amount?
wouldn't put it forward.
Oh, okay.
Is there any concern over the fact that the fire hydrants, since they say they currently don't have fire hydrants in that area? That'd be my only concern of not doing it.
Yeah, I just, again, we're not in the water business here at the
Gotcha.
county, and this is a utility
Okay.
that has funds coming to it. Again, this is their political subdivision that they're responsible for. If it didn't have a revenue source tied to it, I think
That was my concern as well.
Okay, I guess we should have just.
that's just my concern. But we have a motion and a second for that. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So that one's removed. And then the next one is VLACD Kettle Lake. And this project was this water and sewer, or was this storm?
This is a stormwater project.
Flooding, right?
And I have, based on the presentation and the notes I took on their presentation, I had their ask at $560,000. Their original proposal was for $417.
It came down.
It came, well, did it come down? I thought it was.
Well, didn't they say they had some more firm numbers when they came in here, or was that another presentation?
That was for that was for the water main.
Oh,
the
okay.
project we just discussed. So, and then the agenda reads 700,000, so I'm pleading I have some confusion as to what their ask really is on this one, but my note said 560,000, so. Which I know, these are, the cost estimate in their proposal is based on
No, it's
older
not.
data.
Kettle Lake.
Kettle Lake.
Mike, if you
Yeah.
don't mind, this is the one as well where there were no easements at this point.
Correct.
Correct, and that's
And
what was- they
8
haven't
or
started.
9 landowners involved, that would be involved in that
And they have not
easement
started that.
acquisition.
Yeah.
This is also the one where he said
Correct.
it wouldn't even solve all the problem, correct? Is that the same one as well?
Correct. There was some question as to how much, I mean, this would be a beneficial project, but there was some uncertainty as to the level of service that the project would provide and potential for property owners to still, the involved property owners to still have impacts from flooding.
From a timeline, I know you had said before that it depends on the landowners and how aggressive they would want to fight about giving up an easement. Typically, in a best-case scenario, how quick would that normally get done if they haven't started any of this yet?
If they're all on board and ready to sign, it's just time to draw up the drainage easement agreement. So
Okay.
as quickly as a month.
Yeah, and that's a big concern
But-
here, because out there, it's very difficult to get.
But it could take an extended period of time to where you need to get appraisals done and make offers and have them accept the offer. And so there it could be as much as a year.
And that was my main concern with this one, is whether there'd be enough time for them to get this going. 'Cause it's a big ask to risk losing, I guess. in my case.
That is a concern for me too, because I think they've been trying to do this for years, and some people still resist it.
Are any of these in the Kettle Lake project, or do these affect any of the county roads that we have out there?
There would be crossings of, county-maintained roads, but the most significant impacts that would be addressed by this project, as I understand it, would be internal properties to this area.
And I think we determined that the watershed within there is all VLACD watershed, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
There is a portion, there are portions of the city of Valparaiso, depending on the alignment or the configuration of the culverts under Calumet there that do drain, but a small portion of the city. But no, the vast majority of the area is within the jurisdictional boundaries of VLACD.
Okay.
Which is different than the Black Hawk Beach scenario.
Correct. We have a portion on the order of 25 to 30% county unincorporated outside of VLACD jurisdiction that drain through that project.
So right now, it's, if we want to score it, or if we want to score a portion of it, all of it, what do we want to do?
So are we going on the 700,000 or the $417,000 number?
Well, we're looking in the proposal right now, as we see as a 417.
417.
Okay, so make sure we're knowing which one we're voting on.
Well, that was my question. It was that 700 that appears on the agenda. I didn't know if that was somebody that knew better than I did, or just a
Yeah, I think we're
Scrivener's error.
gonna, yeah, I think it's 417. We're looking at everything we have here, so I don't,
Did they have
so now it gets down to whether we want to score it for the,
Right.
yeah. I think score it.
Okay, good.
I think let's
I'm
score
okay
it.
with
Let's
that.
go ahead and score it.
Yeah.
Yep. 'Cause I think you can end around all day on that one.
Yeah.
The ins and outs of everything. Let's just score it and move it forward. That was, oh no, that's this one. I got the wrong one. Okay. All right, and now we're the last one.
No problem.
The last one we have is the Shirley Hines / Porter County Stormwater Partnership. It's a total of $717,000. And we have Porter County Stormwater, Kemper Ditch for $235,000. That is the Kemper Ditch arm of the Calumet River. And then we have the Shirley Hines property acquisition of $482,000. The reason that we put these together is because if the group decides to move forward, if the county decides to move forward with Shirley Hines, the property acquisition, the Kemper Ditch work then can be done. You can't really grade them separately because it's one or the other. If you just do one, then the project really doesn't make any sense. And remember, again, they're taking over part of our regulated drain that we have in the county, so there's some savings to the county there for long-term maintenance and everything else. So it's sort of a yin and a yang kind of deal. That's why we put them together, because if you don't score one, you don't do the other one. I mean, they have to go together, so that's why they're on there. So just let everybody know. And we're scoring them as one.
Did I do that one?
I think that they.
I don't know, but I don't, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Kind of agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've gotten through all the scoring, and we're gonna allow them to tally up the scores. In the meantime, we're gonna open it up for public comment, and, yeah.
The screen's not working. So what I'm gonna do is we're going to take that and I'll go back and make copies of it so that we can have one.
Oh, okay. So we can't get our screens to work, so what we're gonna do is Kurt's gonna go back, put a spreadsheet together real quick, and we're gonna get the scores, and then we can hand them out to everybody. But knowing that it will go up online, so everybody can see it, but, and Art-
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, and Art does not cover technology. Clearly.
Cut out of the 10 million.
Yeah, right, yeah, it can be out of the 10 million, right. So, public comment, anybody wishing to have a go at any of this final here? Going once, going twice? Yeah, come on forward.
Sorry. Got a friend in the audience. I thought the next meeting was the 5th, and I looked on the county auditors. Maybe I looked it on the wrong page. I didn't see this meeting today, although you're not really opening it up to people. You're just discussing amongst yourselves and deciding the score for everybody, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. I heard you had some.
You were here when we gave the date, because you argued about the time.
That was the previous meeting.
No.
The Tuesday, the
Well,
26th.
this meeting was always discussed at the last meeting, so you're,
I'm sorry.
well,
Do you have any other questions? It's too late. You've already graded mine. How's it going?
there wasn't anything to present. We just graded it. Nobody got to get another bite at the apple or anything. We've been up here grading since the meeting started.
Okay, well, I felt a little lost last time because we spent half of our discussion about the current owner, and we didn't talk about the project very
Again,
much.
it's public comment, make your pitch, but it's already been
All
scored.
right, just understanding the process.
Yep.
It may not be bad news. It may not be bad news.
Anybody else? Public hearing's now closed. guess we could probably go ahead and adjourn and then just have everybody wait till,
That's it.
You've got it?
Yeah, I can't get them in, oh, what are you doing? Oh, you're gonna print them?
We're going to take an intermission or recess for 10 minutes?
Did you want a certain, like the top 5, or just ranked in order?
we just want them ranked in order. Then we're going to send them to the central committee, and then they do their work.
Correct.
That's my understanding of how this was supposed to work.
Sort of. That's what it means, sort of.
Start.
I probably should take them home. I don't have a writing.
Mr. Chairman, may I have a suggestion?
Yes.
So they have it, they're able to read it, and then my suggestion would be they read
Yeah.
the petition, the score, and then at that point, Mr. Ellis can make copies. Anyone that wants to wait for a copy of all the scores they can, but if they have places to go, they can listen to their score and everyone else's score.
And they can get going.
Wait or not.
Okay, I'm okay with that. Is everybody else okay with that?
Absolutely.
I just want to let these people know what their score is before they leave here. That's what I'm trying to do here.
May I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Will the public be given an opportunity to talk about these projects prior to the next vote or scoring at the,
No, this was it.
okay,
This was the scoring.
so there will never be another?
No, no.
Steering
it's-
committee.
The steering committee,
Yeah.
I don't believe has decided whether or not they're going to be hearing any additional information on once they've gotten all of the results from the subcommittee. So your question, we do not know the answer as we sit.
Okay, I'll keep watching. Thank you.
Again, this is all uncharted ground for us. We're sort of working through this.
My
as we go.
understanding, the subcommittees are supposed to do the heavy lifting here, right?
subcommittees do the heavy lifting.
So that the main committee doesn't have to
That
hear
the main committee,
53
yeah.
presentations.
If they have
all over again.
questions, then they may come back and ask for certain people to come forward and give their presentation again. But that's a totally different committee at that point, and it's different people.
Well, just
I
as
believe.
each subcommittee wasn't aware of how many applications they were going to get.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Applications, each subcommittee has handled that number, their particular number differently. The non-for-profit committee didn't hear 10, presentations off the bat. This committee, I believe, heard all the presentations, but then didn't score a few. The steering committee is in much the same situation. Until they see what's sent up,
Sure.
it's difficult to formulate their plan of whether it's additional presentations, or it's pointed questions, or what the case may be. So,
Makes
yes,
sense,
it's
yep.
uncharted territory, but until the sum is known, then I think the central steering committee can come up with their plan of attack as to how to score.
Yep.
That's fair.
Okay,
Yep.
so
So do we want to let's go ahead and name these scores out, because everyone's sitting here and we
So
can,
I ranked them, or you want me to just go in order?
Just in order.
Okay. Okay, so failed.
All right, here's
Wait a
the
minute.
score.
get on the microphone so everybody can hear.
This is in the order that you took the vote, okay?
Oh, there you go.
They're also ranked, but failed stormwater systems, total score of 275. Flood reduction systems, total score of 281. Shoreward Forest, 272. Porter County Ag Expo, 272. We have a tie. Isaac Walton League, 161. Pleasant Township Trustee, 253. Indiana Dunes Tourism, 138. Porter County Conservation Trust at the reduced amount of $75,261. Black Hawk Beach at $285,165. Kettle Lake, 130. And the Shirley Hines Stormwater Partnership at $268.
Okay. So should we make a motion to move those scores to the central committee?
Yes.
Probably would be a good thing. So now we got to make the motion to move it forward.
Make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. And with that, this board stands in recess. Thank you. We got there.
Good job.
It was a little rough. We got these scoring. I like too. Hey, you guys, we may have to reconvene, so we may have to, something may get sent back to us and.
Don't celebrate too soon.
Yeah, yeah, it's short-lived.
Why would they get sent back?
Huh?
Why would it get sent back?
Committee could ask for additional clarification.
Oh, okay.
And we may have to go up and present it.
Yeah, and then.
They really don't want to do any work.
Yeah, they were pretty masterful with that. Well, good luck to you.
No wonder.
I'm not even trying at this point.
I want you to
Hi.
have a face.
No wonder.
Great to meet you.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's right, yeah. I know, talking about it, not do anything.
He's good at that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Curtis.
Appreciate the opportunity.
I'm serious. You should consider running an office. I'm just telling you.
Something I could, find one I could run for, yeah.
Hey, keep in touch, man.
Appreciate your work.
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
Great, good, thanks.
Thank you.
Glad to be a part. Appreciate it, thanks.
Sylvia, as Brian and I board, we kind of served together.
Yes, that's true. Well, we think a lot.
Sylvia, pleasure working with you.
Yes, same with you, sir.
Thank you, Vicki.
Oh, thank you very much.
Don't fall.
If you could just sign these minutes, we're trying to
Sure.
do everything proper here.
Yep. Well, the other day, they told me we weren't doing minutes, so I didn't know. I asked. Sorry, Sylvia, I don't mean to be blocking you out of your chair here, but when the pen comes, the pen goes.
I'm in that.
Elbow you out of there, Shanice.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.